Hello, welcome to Spotlight on Souris. Today is August 31st, 2022. My name is Laura Higgs, and today we have with us to talk about minor hockey is Matt Kozak. Welcome, Matt.
Hi.
Thanks for coming in. Now, what can you tell us about minor hockey?
Well, the organization, I'm not sure that the age of it, but I was trying to find that out for tonight, and the estimate is it's over 65 years that the organization has been part of Souris.
Okay.
The reason we know that is that we've hosted the Tournament of Champions for over 50 years, and the
Really?
organization must have been here a lot longer. I know if we've talked to some of the more senior members in the community, they'd be able to tell us more, but it has been a fairly significant part. It's a major part of the facility here in Souris, and it's been a major team building effort for a lot of youth for a lot of decades.
Yeah, and it's a springboard for them maybe to have a future in the sport or...
Yes, and it's you know, I think the misconception is everybody thinks, well, you know, everybody thinks their kid's going to make the NHL, but it is what it's there for is to teach, you know, organization. Teamwork is, you know, it's the basic one.
Discipline.
Discipline, yeah.
Yep.
Discipline is
Yep.
a major thing.
Yep.
And it's also just to get them to understand that your hard work does pay off. You know, we have players that have made the NHL. We have players that
Yes.
have won the Stanley
Yep.
Cup. We have lots of players that have gone on to coaching roles in universities and semi-pro,
Exactly.
as well as just college.
See, there's success in there. What the minor hockey is, there's success in life. Doesn't mean you have to go on to the NHL, but is a springboard to succeed in life.
Well, absolutely, and it's more so. I think kids need to look at life after hockey, and hockey is the minor hockey association is there to create the ability to build the tools to help them work as part of a team later on in life.
Right. So what's your involvement with minor hockey?
As of right now, I'm in my first year as secretary for minor hockey. Before that, I served as a member at large. Basically, you sit in on the meetings, you help make decisions that help the flow and operation of minor hockey. As for a parent, I've been involved with it for years. My kids have been playing for probably, I guess, 4 years.
Okay.
And I coached last season. That was something that was new to me. It was uncharted territory, and I'm an alumni of Souris minor hockey. I played from the age of 8 till I went into the high school system, and then into the senior system after that. So I've been probably part of minor hockey for a better part of 32 years.
Wow.
On and off.
Wow. So that you said last year was your first year to coach then. It was a new experience for you anyway.
Yes, yeah. I'd helped out season before, and last year we were kind of looking at a shortage of coaches, and I felt that, you know, we needed to have somebody on the team, so I threw my name in. I don't know if it was the best move, but it was an experience nonetheless.
Okay.
It gives you a new respect of what coaches do have to deal with, and do the amount of work that goes into making a minor hockey program viable and successful.
Yeah, you're not just working on the program end, but you're working, like, there's contact with the kids, the parents,
Yes, and it's that coordination of making sure that you have everybody on board, everybody's going in the same direction. We had an excellent manager, and we have excellent managers throughout our whole organization through the different age groups that they kind of get forgotten about, and the managers, I always say, are the hardest working people in minor hockey. The coaches get to yell and be on the bench and run around in practices, but after that there's not a lot of phone work that gets done by. It's mostly done by the managers.
Yeah.
And I have a new respect for them.
Yeah, well, that's good. So what programs are currently offered in minor hockey?
So right now, we have we used to have the squirts, Pee Wee Bantam and on and so forth. They've now changed them to the U7 program, the U9, U11, U13, and U15 and then from there on, players usually branch off into the high school program, or they go into a AAA program such as the Cougars.
Oh, okay.
What we're actually doing, we've seen the last few years, there's less and less kids playing. COVID had a bit of an impact in that there was some people not willing to, deal with the hassles that came with it.
Right.
So what we have done, and it actually started before 2020, is Minor Hockey instituted a first-year program for U7 players. And basically, minor hockey was waiving all fees in order to give kids the opportunity to get into the sport, a chance to try. They were only responsible for paying, I believe it's $55 for their insurance that we are required to carry on every player.
Right.
But other than that, the first season, minor hockey was covering the ice times just to try and promote and get
Really?
it more accessible to more players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of incentive there.
Yeah.
Okay, what benefits are there to being a part of the Souris minor hockey?
First off, we have a fantastic facility.
We sure do.
We are very fortunate to have a facility in which we can house larger tournaments. The ice is amazing. We have great facility caretakers. They do a fantastic job of operating the facility, and our rates are very affordable. If we compare our fees to that of, say, Brandon or larger centers, our ice times are significantly less, which does make it more affordable for us to provide an avenue for players to have a place to play.
Well, we certainly have a great facility for sure.
Absolutely.
And we're also close to, a major city, and we also are close to a lot of rural areas around us, so.
Yes, and that's what we've seen over the last few years. And Souris minor hockey, we used to have, well over 100 members in a typical season. Last year, I did have to call or register today to find out, and it sounds like last year we were somewhere around, I think 75 members. This year. We've got 68 signed up. We're expecting some more, but many minor boards are actually declining in their populations. So
Sure.
the benefit to Souris is sometimes we are very centralized with other small towns. That does often mean that those players will be coming here to play.
Yeah, great. What challenges do you see that minor hockey needs to face in the next season? We talked a little bit about.
Yeah, and I would say the challenges that we face is just
Because we're getting back to this, right? We had time off because of COVID.
yeah, and
So-
last year was kind of a trial run. There was it was probably 80% back to normal, but we had the restrictions. We couldn't have people come in and weren't vaccinated. It was what it was. But we felt that we would face more challenges with that, but there were more people just wanting to get their kids active. I would say our biggest challenge is dealing with misconceptions. Souris minor hockey has made it very clear that we're doing everything that we can to keep our fees as affordable as we can.
Right.
That's why, sometimes community businesses can sometimes get a little bit tired of us asking for donations. But the reason we're doing donations is to ensure that we keep the fees affordable for players to come in and play.
Right.
And I've always compared minor hockey registration to buying a dog. Everybody complains about how expensive it is until they find out the dog, the fees are actually the cheapest part of the
looking
sport.
after the dog. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's an abstract comparison, but
Yeah.
it's travel costs are there. There is a lot of other hidden expenses, and
Yeah.
as a board, we try to find ways to solve those dilemmas for if there is an individual that their kid maybe wants to play and they're concerned that maybe the cost is out of reach. Minor hockey has ways of trying to help them, whether we go through kids sport. It's a program where there is, some form of assistance that we can make sure kids don't get set on the sidelines because they just, the costs are just too high.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, and we don't want to. We want as many kids to be as part of this organization.
Right.
We don't want it to be
Regardless of their economical status.
no, and we
in
don't
life.
want, and we don't want to see people steer away because they have the misconception that it's too expensive.
Right.
Well, we're finding ways to try and make it as affordable as we can.
So how can our community lend a hand to ensure that Souris minor hockey is secure in the future?
I would say come out and support. We're going to try and make a very concerned effort this year to make the games as publicly known as we can to
Advertise and-
yeah, and you know what? And people walking through the gates pay for the cost of the rink. They primarily go to cover the costs of the officials that are reffing these games. Without the officials, we don't have a game to play.
Right.
So when people are in the stands, it creates an atmosphere that people want to be part of. There are communities that have a very strong following of their minor sports, and it's great to see. I played through a time in minor hockey where there was a lot of people that would come to the games, and I there's some good hockey players in this program. It is good hockey. There's entertainment to be had here, and it's whether it's $5 to come for the whole day to a tournament. It's just nice to see the stands full.
Yeah.
The kids get a lot out of it, and it's a very.
I think it also spurs the kids on when the stands are full.
I always played better when I knew I had a crowd cheering. It was always better to perform in front of people than empty seats.
Yes, that's right.
And you know what? These are kids that are our neighbors. That they're going to be. They're going to be involved in the community, so let's encourage them as much as we can. So that's what I would ask the community.
Good. Okay. What major tournaments are happening in Souris?
So usually every age group holds a weekend tournament. The U7s, they usually just do a one-day tournament. But what we have two major tournaments that go through the year, and some parents may. I'll have to be forgiven if I forget any, but the TOC, as I mentioned earlier, is a tournament that we've had for many, many years, and it's a major tournament. It brings teams from all over the province into the community. It's a great economic boom for the town in 4 days, and it is a very big fundraiser for Souris minor hockey.
Right.
The challenge with that now is that we're seeing declining numbers in the U15 program, which plays in that tournament, and we are looking to host it again this year. We're not sure how our team is going to fill out, if there's going to be enough players, but we will be a host town. The other one is UHC, or the Ultimate Hockey Challenge. That was created a few years ago as a fill-in tournament, and it got moved to the U9. That was originally a 12-team tournament over a weekend. Now with U9 hockey and lower going to half ice, we were able to expand that to a 24-team tournament, and it is a major fundraiser for Souris minor hockey. That tournament alone probably brings in, and between the two tournaments, they probably bring in 30 to 35% of our entire operating budget for the year. So those tournaments are very major parts of our organization, and that's why the effort goes into them, and that's why we canvass the community to help out in any way they can, because those tournaments are what make the minor hockey feasible for these players to stay and play in our community.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a big job you guys have. Wow.
It's not a big job when there's a lot of people there.
Helping.
We've got a
True.
good board in place. Most of the members, pretty much all of them, still have players in minor hockey. There are some that their kids are moving out, but they still want to see the program succeed. They are there for the right reasons, and and it's that saying that many hands make for light work. There's nobody on that board that wants to see anybody steer away from minor hockey. We encourage anybody that can to please lend a hand, or even come to the meetings. Yeah, give your, if you've got a piece of
Good idea.
an idea, like, we're not opposed to hearing ideas, but we try to make it as smooth and fluid as we can as an organization.
Yeah. Well, Souris is very well known for volunteerism.
Yes, and
we're
I
good
think
at that.
when and volunteers for these events, when we hold these tournaments, there's a lot of help that's required. There's a lot of work.
So you have volunteers on many levels, because when you have an event happening, sometimes you just need people just at that event to do certain taskings. They don't necessarily have to come to all the meetings and all the planning. You want hands for every level.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're not asking people to show up and just sit at meetings all the time. But we, when it comes to tournaments, that's why we put up sign-up sheets for volunteers. And those volunteers, whether they're taking tickets at the door, or they're selling 50-50, or they're scorekeeping, or they're working the canteen, these are all the many many parts of a machine that
Sure.
we need in
Sure.
order to run smoothly.
Yep. Yeah, and then that also wouldn't, like, I don't know much about hockey, but, you know, I could sell tickets at a booth. I could do something like that, right?
Absolutely,
So-
and you know what, like, there's certain people that want nothing to do with the score clock. They want nowhere near the,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to be keeping score, and that's fine. That's why we have people selling 50-50 tickets or sitting at the front, just selling an admission for the day. And
Exactly.
every one of those people are helping give these kids an opportunity to play and make it successful.
Well, great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming in. Is there anything else that we need to cover?
The only thing that I would say is anybody that's got kids that maybe they're not necessarily going to play hockey, but they want to be part of it, or they want to be active in the winter, and it's a way to make money. Is anybody over the age of 12? They're always looking for officials. There's programs that are in place to get registered to become an official. It starts out you'll be coaching, you'll be refereeing in U7 games, which is kind of it's a babysitting role, but it's a good way to step into the sport. They're not throwing anybody right into the fire.
Okay.
And sport wide, we are seeing a decline in officials. There is a need for them to see people coming in, and that's where we're hoping to find some younger individuals that are willing to step in and referee those young games. Because if we, like I said before, if we don't have the officials to coach, to ref the games, we don't have the games.
Right.
And the U7 is where the kids get hooked on the sport.
Mm-hmm.
And if the interest isn't there and we can't get them at U7 and U9, they're not coming back.
It's
for
just
U.
going to continue to
They're-
fade.
They're not coming back.
Right, right.
So those are, we can push hockey all we want, but without the officials, we're dead in the water.
Okay.
So-
So where can people look into that?
They can simply get a hold of the Souris Minor Hockey. I'd be willing to, if anybody needs to reach out, they can contact myself or any one of the members. Andrew Hamilton's president. He'd be
Okay.
willing to steer in the right direction. Carol Williams at the rec office.
At the rec office, perfect.
Can provide a lot of that information.
Okay, that's great. Really
Yeah.
appreciate your time. Thanks for
Not a
coming in
problem.
and sharing all you know about minor hockey.
It's a little bit, but I tried.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us here at Spotlight on Souris. Have a great day.